You are tuning into Engaging Walk. This week we will discuss the second episode of our dating series, a comparison of modern dating and traditional dating. If you are new to the podcast, my name is Drake.
My name is Rubie. We are passionate about building strong family connections.
We've seen how impactful a simple walk together can be. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to stay up to date.
All right, so let's keep the conversations going as we discuss about today's content.
So this week we did a engaging walk over in Flint Springs, California. It's a really nice location that has like a creek, a wedding gazebo, and it was a really nice area for us to take a walk with each other and with Boba. We're not doing so much walking these days because we're getting pretty late into our pregnancy, but we still make a good effort to go out and get some sunshine and enjoy the walk. And Flint Springs is a really nice area that's a little, probably about like 40 miles or 30 miles or so east of San Diego. So beautiful area, beautiful place if you're in the area. So just to kind of go over the minutes for today, we're going to be talking about modern dating and traditional dating. So initially we're going to define the terms, exactly what we mean by modern versus traditional dating. After that, we're going to discuss what place does traditional dating have in our modern world. After that, we're going to discuss what aspects of traditional dating belong in the modern world, and then also what aspects of modern dating have made dating in general better. So we're going to cover a few different topics in that area, like communication, initiation, who's like starting the dating scene, or like the dating relationship, and then family involvement and also expectations. So first area, let's define the terms. Modern dating. So how do you define modern dating?
I think modern dating isn't just online dating, and traditional is not just meeting in person. Although online dating does a little bit to do with, this is more about how dating takes place and regardless of where the couple met.
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes sense. Because in modern dating, there's so many different things that occur in modern dating, but that's not just limited to meeting online. Although meeting online is a new
kind of platform.
Concept. Yeah, that platform that didn't exist before. But that doesn't mean that you're dating in a modern style just because you met online. You can meet online and have a very traditional approach to how you date each other, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
So let's talk a little bit more about like traditional dating. So traditional dating has a lot more to do with expectations, values, roles, and has a general characteristic of being slower in nature, with a more defined goal being that the results should be a monogamous relationship that's long term, while modern dating in many ways has like almost like the exact or many opposite characteristics in comparison to traditional dating, where a lot of the modern dating can have open relationships, like what they call like polyamorous relationships, where people aren't like totally committed to one another, like even in like in an area like, or especially in the area of like sex. So for example, like open relationship is defined as like it could even be a married couple that is living together, married, has done all their vows and everything, but both of them have an agreement that, hey, if I want to have sex with this person, I'm going to go have sex with them, and then same with you. You're okay to go do that. And some of them have like different rules, but the result isn't always, in modern dating at least, a long-term monogamous relationship. And then even sometimes in modern dating, people prefer just to date short-term. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to date, but after a few months, we're going to call it quits.
Mm-hmm. Well, at this stage, we just defined the terms, and then later on, we will share more about what our thoughts and our stance for.
Yeah. So first topic, that we're going to get into is like, what place does traditional dating have in our modern world? So let's, what do you think about that?
I think the communications is, take a really important stand. Just like does texting and social media provide a faster pace in terms of communication? Or, people will think like, what effect does this have dating on dating process? I feel like it does help, social media and other platform, especially like the birth of the internet, really help the communications easier, faster, and it's like we mentioned last time, like it breaks down a lot of barriers in terms of physical, geographic, but at the same time, it's can be chaotic in terms of not knowing the person faces or not knowing the person in real life.
Yeah, I think I think that there's an element of technology that can actually aid the relationship and make you more connected. And I think my wife does a really great job of that in our lives, where we have a lot of like shared synced notes. We might have mentioned this in another episode before, but I know I shared this idea with like a friend of mine, and he was like, "Oh wow, you and your wife have shared notes?" And I was like, "Yeah, we have, like on our iPhones." And it makes things easier for like us, like keeping track of like our to-do list, groceries that we need to buy, events that we have coming up, all those sorts of things that we can communicate quickly and effectively and in a synced way using these notes.
And I think we also, like during the deployment, if you don't know, we are active duty couple. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm civilian. He's the one that in service. And during the deployment, we utilize Google platform, Google Drive, and we have all kinds of notes for each other, kinds of information, so exchange. So I think we did take some classes there, like the DTR classes, and it's really hard for a couple to maintain or do something new, or even like connected. And so we utilize the internet to share, just like have like if you take online class, you will know what I'm saying. Like you log on to a platform and then you answer the questions and then you wait for the feedback. So throughout the months, you can see how the conversation progress, and then also you can throw another questions there. So it's keep us, even though we don't see each other face to face, but because of that, our communications go deeper. Went deeper. So I think it's definitely helped a lot for communications in terms of utilize the social media, and definitely texting is. I mean, right now, everyone, if they receive a letter from their lover or their special ones, that means so much. But I think the texting and everything is also make things easier and keep us in touch. Yeah, so I would say like definitely will have a big help for communications in couple. Of course, face-to-face is the best because you can read the other person reaction, feeling, emotion, their tones, and texting is more convenient, but it won't be the replacements of in-person communication.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. There's like the technology really helps, but it helps like bridge the gap like when you're not together, and having that together alone time is like there's no substitute for it. So we can technology and texting and calls, and even like a lot of the nice apps on like on your iPhone, like how like a lot of times like we play like the pigeon games together. Those things like really help us stay connected when like either we're at work, on work trips, going on separate, like not like vacations, but like if you have to like leave and go on a trip somewhere and your spouse has to stay behind or vice versa, then these things really help us stay connected during those times. But I think like the receiving like a letter, Like back in the day when people would get a letter from like their loved ones, like that would really mean a lot to them. And like that was the only way that they could even stay connected. So that just shows like a lot of like intention in maintaining connection and the time and the effort that it takes to, it takes way less effort to text than it does to write a letter and like go get a postage stamp and go get the envelope and and handwrite it and then send it to the person. So there's like a certain level of excitement that happens like when you get those thoughtful gifts and forms of communication from your loved one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can utilize both of the, traditional and the modern style, which is texting. But then, like I used to do this with my friend. I haven't done it to Drake, but so like we work at the same spot and department. What I'm trying to say, and I will write encouraging notes to my friend. And then, when it's so funny because I was in the office and then she received the letter and she's like, hold on, you sent me a letter? Like, I'm right here. Like, yeah, open it. And then she just she took it very, like a big surprise and, appreciate it because she like, why would you write a letter when I'm next to you? And, just do something special for the person. And if even you live in the same household, you can still send letters and cards to your partner,
Mm-hmm. And Rubie wrote me a lot of letters and everything when and care packages when I was on deployment. So those gifts remind me of, and like those forms of communication remind me of like an earlier time when, people had to wait for communication between each other, and getting that letter from like your loved one was amazing. And we live in a world now where like, we could just text each other and pick up our phones and text. And it makes communication so much easier, and so much more conversations can be happening during that time.
All right, let's move to the next one.
Yeah, so the next topic would be initiation. So in traditional dating, most of the time, or the vast majority of the time, it's the man that has to initiate the conversation of dating and has to seek out the courtship of the woman. This is even true for like boys, that like all the way down to like elementary school. I think in elementary school, some of the girls are like, because they don't really know like social norms yet. But like once the social norms kick in, then the boy is the one, and then the man is the one that has to initiate the courtship. But in modern dating, there's less emphasis on men being the ones that are the sole initiator of seeking a romantic relationship with one another. And this is even like evident in, I think, like that app called like Bumble. I think in that one, the woman is the one that has to reach out or something like that. I don't know exactly how it works, but from what I heard, it's like the woman is the one that it makes like the first contact.
Yeah, that's very interesting. For me, I used to. I have my stand now, but when I was younger, I kind of like struggle what to do because I'm an independent and strong-willed person. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, for me, I just lean toward more to traditional dating because it's good to. Women, we are very fast with our emotion. We know who we like, and it's very obvious. But I think it's the art of the relationship when the men pursue, because I feel like the men, they something in them that they like to conquer, they like to achieve something. So if a woman just say, "Hey, I like you," and then that's it, it kills the excitement in the relationship. I think having someone to pursue and having someone to conquer is, I think, that with the art of the relationship between men and women.
Yeah, I think that there was a comedian named, I think it was Jerry Seinfeld, that said that men hunt and women nest. Mm-hmm. So a man goes on the prowl and he's like, oh, I think I want to find this woman and, and make her, notice me, and then goes, it's in the animal kingdom too. Like, remember that bird that like sets up his area?
Yes.
It's on like the Earth or something like that, or
like the Burger King,
and then he does this.
He clear out the area to make it very clean and tidy, so that I think he start dancing, and then I think the female notice him, and I say, oh, okay, cool, what see what you have. So I remember that.
Yeah, and then you can always tell which bird is a male versus which one is the female, because the males just look so spectacular.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
They always have like the really beautiful feathers. Like, they are just like so much better looking than the female birds. The female birds are
female bird looks boring to me.
They're very plain in comparison, because the males and for birds have to go above and beyond to attract a mate. Yeah. And I think that in some ways is a biological thing where men, they have to be, not saying like put on a show, but they have to seek their loved one, and they have to draw attention and court the woman, and then the woman has to be like wooed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Totally agree. And I think as you mentioned about birds, I remember that like there's a group of male birds and helping one to like pursue the other female one.
Yeah, they do like a homie dance where there's like 4 of them, and then they have a very synchronized dance, and then the one that attracts the female, mates, and then the other 3 learn the dance, so they benefit from the process too. They're like, oh, okay, well then later on, like, I'll be the main one, and then I can train up some young homies, and then they can do the dance with me, and then I can mate, so they're happy to be part of the act for them, so that they can learn too, and then they can get the dance moves down. But it's a very interesting biological drive that shows that and then the females the whole time they're just like, okay, wow, this is a nice show.
Yeah. I of course, like in our human society we are totally different. Like, women look so spectacular and beautiful and colorful, and men looks men looks spectacular too, but they look simpler than compared to the women. But yeah, so question is like, do you think should men be the only one to initiate the possibility of romance connections, or should women initiate that? What do you think?
I think that men should be the ones to initiate to a certain degree. Like, I think that there is an element of like if the woman is like, hey, let's go out for dinner, it depends also on like what stage they are in talking.
Okay, let's say that we are getting to know each other, and you still don't know that I'm interested in you or not. But it seems like my behavior, the tone of my voice to you, the way I look at you, like, you seems like, okay, maybe she like me, but like 50%, okay?
Yeah.
So let's say that's the situation. So if I come to you and say, hey, Drake, would you like to grab a dinner together on this Friday? What would you say? Do you think that...
I think if you had asked me 3 or 4 years ago, I would have said that either one could initiate. But I think after learning a bit more about indecisiveness in men, and how that can really really damage the relationship or make things more complicated if the man isn't clear on like his intention. Then I think now that I've seen like the impact of that I would say that the man should still be the one to initiate and make it clear that he is romantically interested. And and then if he doesn't, then the woman should be like, well, he's not making it clear, so I'm just going to move on. So because if she shows some interest and the man doesn't pick up on it, or he's not able to be clear about his intention, then I think generally women should view that as a sign of like maybe he's not,
reality check.
He's not the right person for, because a lot of it's also timing.
What do you mean by that?
Like maybe that person is interested and they're too afraid to show. And those two people might be like attracted to one another, but if the man isn't able to at that stage in his life be, like, hey, I'm interested in this, and I'm interested in this about you, then he's probably not done, figuring out exactly what he needs and to pursue it with intention. So a woman should, I think, in a lot of cases, view that as like, that he's not, he's not able to bridge the gap of going from just like a friendship stage to relationship stage. Okay,
that's very good answer. What would you do if the woman say, it's okay, I can continue to like attract him or invite him another time? Would you think if the woman can't continue to pursue the man, asking him out or searching for connections, do you think at that time will ball the man out, like he would not disinterest in her?
Like if she's too forward, you mean?
Yeah.
It could, because I think instinctually some men view that as like, what's wrong with her?
Oh no.
Yeah. Because they're like, well, if she's this forward, or if she's, like, because I think men realize that, like, or at least for the, most men, or at least like the ones that I've talked to, like that they understand that a woman can date down, and she can, get any, man that's like below like her stature that she wants, because men will be like, yeah, I want that, I'll take that ticket, But if a woman is dating like at their level, like in terms of like attractiveness, all those sorts of things, then like, there's a sort of like feeling out process, of like getting to know each other and then seeing like, oh, are we the right person? All those types of things. But if she's just like throws it out there, then a man could kind of view that as like what is it about me that makes that like her reach out like that?
So instead of encourage the man, that situations will bring him more questions and insecurity.
Not necessarily insecurity, but it leaves more like, hey, this isn't how things normally go. Okay. So what's wrong? Just like if you were to like, when you watch a movie and then like the scene just goes too smoothly, and you're like, oh, that guy grabbed that hidden artifact. The Indiana Jones grabbed the hidden artifact like way too easy. Like there's probably a robber that's going to come and snatch it from him. The back of your mind is like, that went too smoothly. That went too quickly. Like, why is it going this quickly? Or why was there no like feeling out process?
So deep inside the man, there's still the deep desire to hunt.
Yeah, to hunt, and then also to conquer, and then also to understand that like that she is mine. Like maybe there's also an element of like if the woman is like, like I like you, let me latch on to you. That like what's to say that next week she just likes somebody else?
It's true.
Very,
very true.
Like what's next week, or just a better looking guy with more money, with a better car. That's just is like, hey, beautiful, and then she's like, oh, I love you too, and then and snatches onto him like a sloth, like hanging on there, So I think all of those kind of show men, like, because every like even like at the middle school age, like boys will start to see, like, oh yeah, I like her, let me tap her shoulder real quick. Oh, then she ran away. She doesn't like me. Or like, oh, let me try to like, touch her hand. Oh no, she didn't like that. So if like those types of feeling out processes have happened for men and women, even during those ages, where they start to see like, oh yeah, this is normal. This is normal level of like feeling things out, because also people don't want to get hurt, They don't want to get hurt. So if they put themselves out there too quickly, then that's like an invitation to be hurt. Mm-hmm. Because now that person knows like, oh, they like me. Now I can do this, and then whatever, like they can manipulate the situation.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know each other and you haven't gone through that feeling out process yet.
It's true. So I think it's the same, because a lot of women, whether, like there's nothing wrong if you consider yourself a strong or independent woman, or, like emotional, I'm not emotional, but like very soft side of the women. They're all, that's who you are, and there's a balance for it. Because for me, to speak for myself, I'm pretty independent. Just the way my upbringing. I always put in positions to make my own decisions and process it for myself. So most of the time, I will not tune into my emotion, but it doesn't mean that I'm not emotional. It just, it takes time for me to show it, or the depth of relationship to see my emotion. But yeah, I totally agree with Drake that when women, we are too hurry into relationship, rush into the relationship, is kill the beauty of getting to know the person. Again, relationship takes time. And just like you take time to get to know a friend, it takes maybe longer to connect with someone special. And it takes times, and through those times, memories forms and relationship forms. So I totally agree with whatever you said, because I used to be the girl that, say to myself and say to the guy that, if you approach me, I will say no, because I will be the one that find the right one for me. But, and the Bible said that, and when as you share, there's a scripture that came to my mind, that don't awake love until it's ready.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does that mean? Like throughout years, like when the man is not ready to pursue, don't awake that love within inside of your heart, because like you said, that we can be the one that hurt. It doesn't mean that we have to always in the passive way. I mean, like you can make, clear, no confusion, say, hey, I'm interested in you too, but I let you show where you are in relationship and how much you want to pursue me. Because at the end of the day, I feel like the relationship will bloom more if the guy know what they want in the relationship and have a plan for it, not just for his career, but also for the relationship and the family later on.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately for for men, it happens later in their lives. So, just as you mentioned, like a woman can be upfront and direct about a lot of things, and that can be good for like the feeling out and dating process. But it has to be like kind of like in the way that you outlined, where the woman is like, hey, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for, and if that's not what you're able to provide, then I think that it's best if we go different ways. And there's nothing personal about it. It's just like this is like what this whole discussion is about, is that like this used to happen on the traditional area at the parents' age, stage. And that's actually our next topic, which is, the family involvement. That back in the day, the parents would get together and be like, hey, my daughter and your son, they would be perfect together. We're going to hook them up.
Like arranged marriage?
Yeah, like arranged marriage. And I remember reading like back a few years ago that there were people that were like, hey, I really wish arranged marriages would come back. It would make things way simpler. And my mom always knows what's best for me. And I don't even know what's best for me, but my mom does. And then years later, she's like, see, I told you, She's like, so I would have, now looking back on it, I would have loved if my mother had picked a husband for me, because she would have undoubtedly had picked somebody for me better than I could. And I think that there might be some truth to that as the parents, they already been there and done that. They've dated, they've, had breakups, heartbreak, and they're like, hey, this person, they're going to be good for you. Sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're not, but this is like what this whole discussion is about, is that at some point, at least in the United States, I'd say probably in the 70s, in the 60s, around there, that arranged marriages, traditional, like, hey, you're going to marry this person, those things stopped, and people chose their own. I'd say that, arranged marriages probably stopped a little bit earlier than that, but there still were those things happening. But I'd say now there's probably, in the United States at least, amongst, Western-minded people, that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, I think the family involvement is not, like you said, it's not like 100% bad, but as long as the person, like I can still be powerful in making my decision, and of course taking counsel, like it doesn't hurt, because they walk before you, they have so many experience to share, to learn, for you to learn from, especially like, for our relationship, we learn so much from our spiritual moms and dads, and even our parents too. So I would say that family involvement is for sure is a plus. However, I believe that as an individual, that person can still like, hey, yes, maybe my mom suggests this lady to me or this man to me, but I am still the one at the end of the day. I am the one to say yes to that person. And I am the one that can, gonna join the life together with this person. So anything happens is on me. It's not on my mom or my dad,
right,
or whoever like suggested to me, because that's just suggestions and recommendations,
Yeah, and I think like that's like the essence of like where modern dating took off or took from, was this idea of like, I'm going to choose my own partner that's best for me, that I love. Because like within the arranged marriage, like there might be like business applications, like this person comes from like a wealthy family, this person comes from like stability, but there's no love chemistry. Yeah. There's no, and then, people back then would say things like, oh, the love will come later. You want to marry somebody that has wealth and that has the ability to take care of you, but a lot of the times, or at least some of the times, that those people wouldn't have sexual chemistry, and that leads to all sorts of problems. And then that is like where a lot of these things took off, and like, but so of course, yeah, that like my wife was saying, is that there is that agency of like, I'm going to choose what's best for me, and it comes down to me. It doesn't fall on my mom, but so that person, you as the individual find the person that is right for you, and it can be a long winding process of figuring just who that person is, and that's like the essence of like where modern dating came in, and probably one of the better aspects of it, because it's so important to pick the right person for you, and not, I think, at least have your parents or grandparents pick them out for you. But there's but also like what Rubie was saying is like there's always that wisdom in their counsel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess that also kind of just leads us off into this last section, which will be expectations. So traditional dating encompassed more structured gender roles, while modern dating has a lot more flexibility. So, I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about this idea earlier with initiating, but I think this question goes a little bit deeper, which is, what are the pros and cons to this new era of expectations that men and women don't always take on the same gender roles? So if you go back to, United States 1940s, 1930s, men worked traditionally. Let's say go back to 1930s because it changed during World War II. Men worked. Women, if they'd had jobs, they only really worked until they got married. They would usually work as like waitress or secretarial positions. Some of them would take on careers, but these are generally women that were not interested in having families. But women that were interested in having families pretty much only worked until they had a family. And then they would stop working. And then they would, maintain the house, raise the children, and then the father would work. And that was American life until before that, and then all the way up into not the Civil War, the World War II, where women started working in factories, and then they wanted to keep those positions after World War II, and that led to a lot of dual income families, the man and the woman working. So, and then that led also to many after decades of feminism and things like that women and men had more fluid gender roles in the family household.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about that? Is there what are some of the benefits of this of the new era of men and women taking on a more fluid gender role in terms of like in the family?
Well, I think personally, I think the either male or female, when two people become one, the family become the priority. Of course, you need other securities in life to continue that family. But then if that security, like for example, jobs, money, you name it, become more than the family, I think that is where, it's not healthy for the family growth and also for the children. And a lot of, since I work in the education field, a lot of kids, even though that both mom and dad worked, and they lack nothing. They have all kinds of toys. They have all kinds of devices. They have all kinds of, you name it, all the new technology. But they lack of the love and the time with the parents, and the time they won't get able to get it back. And I think that's hurt the kids and hurt the family, and that's defeat the very purpose of two people get together and create a family. So I think it's really down to the couple, and as for me, family come first, the relationship come first, stay connected come first, and anything that take me away from that, derive me from that focus, then husband and wife have to discuss. That's my expectation take on this.
yeah, there's a lot of truth to that, especially I learned a lot about that this year because our family situation was such that we relied on a lot of one income, and it made me think a lot back to like when people simplify like what a woman does at home, like it makes it seem like, oh, like all she does is cook and clean, and then take care of the kids. Like that's really, you'll hear this from like both sides. Like, oh, there's not really much much there to it, but that's not really all that there is. Like usually, there's a lot of like let's say if the woman is like, oh, I'm gonna stay home and take care of the child. Well, there's a lot that goes into that also, of not just like taking care of the child, but making sure that the household is run efficiently and effectively and on budget. So I know like from us, like once we buy like groceries and things like that, we maximize it. We use everything that we have and use all of our resources so that we're not being wasteful. And that is a job in and of itself, and then usually like if there is one person that's working, whether it be the mom or the dad, the other person's at home, well, they're best suited to also take care of those things, take inventory of like the food that they have and make do with what they have and make their money stretch and make their money work better for them.
And it's not like mom and dad. It's like we become one. There's no husband or wife or, he or she. It's like us.
Yeah.
And so whether one income or two income is still us. And, like if someone asks me, which is I learned from, my mentor, that she identified her as, first a child of God and then wife, mother, and then, whatever that, in life, career later. But her first role is the child of God. And then the second one will be husband or wife. I mean, like for her is wife. And then the mother. Those are my focus. My identity doesn't come from my job. It's and then so when I work or not, I'm still the same person. I'm still valuable and can bring so much more to the table. So go back to expectations in marriage. I think whether you work or not, or you decide to stay home to contribute to the family, it's still work, but it's just different types of working. So there should no one should look down on a person. Should just stay home and provide for the family in a different way than the person go out and work.
Yeah, and there's also an element of like, I saw there's a lot of women that were talking about this, that like I think this idea of being a stay-at-home mom is making a comeback. That there is a lot more women that are like, why am I going to spend, $30,000, $40,000 a year to pay a child, support or like what do you call it, like a daycare, like a nanny, to take care of my kids when I can take care of them, and their lives will be better and my life will be better from taking care of them, and not always the time is it's the mom doing it. It's also sometimes the dad, where like maybe the mom makes or has the ability to make, and provide more income than the father does. So the father is the one that stays home and takes care of the kids and makes sure that the home is good and the grocery shopping is done and that the food is being utilized and not wasted. All those things. But there's also this element of making the house a home, so that when everyone's home, they're recharging, they're connecting, and building on that family life. And like my wife is saying, that's not a gender role thing. That is a family focus perspective. Like I was, and it brought me to this this post I saw earlier, where sometimes I like to browse through like marriage communities on Facebook to see like what types of problems people are facing, and then use that as like inspiration for for Engaging Walk episodes. And this guy was talking about how, he and his wife just got married, that they spent like $75,000 on their wedding, which is a lot of money. And that he, it seemed like they'd only been married for about like a year or less. And, he was like, hey, I wanted me and my wife to go half on the finances because, I'm the one that's providing all the income. And he was like, and my wife just pretty much, he's like, she makes more money than I do. And she's just kind of holding on to it and not paying any of the finances. And as I read through it, I was like, well, they're both thinking about this wrong.
Yeah.
It's not an issue of like, oh, she needs to pay half and you need to pay half, because that was his issue, was like, oh, we should go 50-50 on all the bills. No, it's just you both pay 100% is the real issue.
That's
the
true.
real issue is that you have your money and she has her money, where you're both you're actually a family unit, and those lines it should have disappeared, and it should have just become your money. So when you pool all of your resources together, those demarcations of mine and yours cease to exist. They're not my kids and your kids, they're our kids. It's our home, our food, our bills. So, like that is the real expectation of like what my wife was saying, is like it's not just a gender role thing, it's a family focus thing.
Yeah. Shall we go to the assignment?
Yeah, so I think, to wrap this up, we kind of asked this question of like what aspects of traditional dating belong in the modern world and what aspects of modern dating have made dating better. And I think one thing is the thing that my wife mentioned is, this idea of gender roles being more fluid has freed people, I think, to be able to think of it in terms of a family, like our family. Because if it's always so limited to like, oh, the man does this, the woman does that, then there's still like that sense of like selfishness in the marriage as opposed to a unity of being one.
Uh-huh.
And then there's a lot of aspects about traditional dating that belong in the modern world, like,
You let the love grows and instead of make it work in your way.
Yeah.
Okay. Or let the man hunt and let the woman nest the relationship.
Yeah, or just like let the woman like kind of sit back and and let the pursuing happen, but also leave a breadcrumb trail.
Of course,
Sometimes we're not that smart.
Yeah, for sure, of course.
And but yeah, so there's a lot. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the conversation. So, we're getting pretty close to 50 minutes. So. Is there anything you want to add before we go into the assignment?
I mean, like as we share and we talk about, traditionals and modern dating, feel free to, drop off all your thoughts, your comment, your questions, your wonders about, traditionals and modern dating.
All right. Yeah, it's beautiful. So yeah, we always want to hear from you guys. Like, again, like I mentioned, like a lot of the times we take these ideas from discussions that people are having about marriage crisis, and so that's where a lot of these ideas come from, so that we can discuss them and have the reach people that are having issues. Not that we have all the answers, but once we find these questions, we go into quite a bit of research and discussion to bring you guys some content that I think would be helpful, and hopefully you guys find it helpful. But with that, we'll go into the assignment. So we want you guys to ask your grandparents or your parents questions about their dating life. Find out what they enjoyed about dating during their time. And then take some time to write your loved one a love letter. So I know I'm going to, we're getting up to Valentine's Day, which should be coming up pretty soon. So I think a love letter goes a long way. I know I'm going to be writing one from my love over here. I think this assignment will show just how much dating has changed, but in a lot of ways, dating will never change.
It's true. And it's all about communications and be intentional and trying to stay connected with each other. Well, thank you for tuning in and make our podcast a part of your day. And we hope that you can take our engaging walk and make it your own.
Okay, yeah, so with that, we want you guys to stay tuned for next week's episode as we discuss the art of charm.
Ooh.
So that would be our third episode for the month of February. And so during the art of charm, we're going to be talking a lot about becoming more attractive and confident in the conversation. So for all you players out there, you're definitely going to get some tips.
So don't forget to subscribe our podcast and stay up to date. This is Rubie.
And my name is Drake.
From Engaging Walk, and we are signing out. Bye.